Well, it's official. Meghan Markle is a menace to free speech, and so are some of her defenders in the media. Last week, Britain's Communications Police, Ofcom, defended presenter Piers Morgan's right to call Markle unbelievable, untrustworthy, someone who makes stuff up. And this ruling also goes straight to the integrity, or lack of it, of Markle herself. The thing is, Meghan Markle does indeed tell the most unbelievable stories about what a victim she is and how terrible the royal family is, and oh, woe is me. Last March, the runaway royals, Meghan Markle, the former actress, and her husband Prince Harry, sat with Oprah Winfrey to smash the British royal family as heartless and racist. But many of Meghan Markle's claims either seemed clearly fake or far-fetched. Like this one, that her then unborn son would not be called Prince, probably because of his colour.
And that was when they were saying they didn't want him to be a prince, but the idea of our son not being safe, and also the idea of the first member of color in this family not being titled in the same way that other grandchildren would be.
That claim was false. It's long been a rule in the royal family that great-grandchildren not directly in line to the throne are not made prince. Then there was this highly suspect claim that some unnamed royal worried about the colour of Markle's baby.
In those months when I was pregnant, all around this same time, so we have in tandem the conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title, and also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
The royal family denies this, saying memories differ. Then there was this claim that Buckingham Palace, again some mysterious unnamed person, did not want Markle to get counselling when she claims she was feeling suicidal.
Were you having suicidal thoughts?
Yes, this was very, very clear.
Wow.
I went to the institution and I said that I needed to go somewhere to get help. I said that I've never felt this way before and I need to go somewhere. And I was told that I couldn't, that it wouldn't be good for the institution.
But again, how can that be believed when Harry had already told newspapers how Markle had made him get counselling? How does that work? That the prince could somehow get counselling, but his wife somehow was banned. By now, Piers Morgan had heard enough and called out Markle.
I'm sorry, I don't believe a word she says, Meghan Markle.
Well, that's a
I wouldn't believe it if she read me a weather report. And the fact that she's fired up this onslaught against our royal family, I think is contemptible.
Now, two things about that, of course. First of all, Morgan, I think, is right to doubt Markle's story. The second, even if you do believe Meghan Markle, surely a journalist, the presenter, is entitled to question her claims. That's free speech. But the scary thing about that is not even Morgan's bosses at ITV believe in free speech anymore, in the right to doubt Meghan Markle, not this woman of colour, heaven forbid. Markle actually wrote to ITV boss Caroline McCall to demand action, appealing to her as a woman and a mother to do something about this wicked Piers Morgan. I mean, there's playing the gender card as well, right? 50,000 complaints also poured in, and ITV had just buckled. It told Morgan to apologise, he wouldn't, and stormed off the set after one of his staff played the race card as well.
It's their lived experience, and...
No, it's not true.
Well, look, Piers, it's their lived experience. And again, this is where the confusion comes in. You know, how do you sometimes identify covert racism? It's actually quite hard because it's not there for
But
you.
Alex, on that one, it's not true.
Sorry. So, do you know what? That's pathetic.
You can track him, but not my own.
No.
See you later.
I'm being...
Sorry, can't do this.
For ITV to cave like that, to dump Morgan, was a sin against journalism. And now Britain's media policeman, Ofcom, has suggested exactly that. It has ruled, made the obvious point, that consistent with freedom of expression, Mr Morgan was entitled to say he disbelieved the Duke and Duchess's allegations and to hold and express strong views that rigorously challenged their account. And the restriction of such views would, in our view, it said, be an unwarranted and chilling restriction on freedom of expression. It is shameful that this needed to be said to the very media organisation that had hired Morgan and then showed him the door simply for doing his job, for demanding evidence for Meghan Markle's wild and unlikely claims. But what does this say about Markle herself? When Britain's top media regulator says, well, yes, Morgan is entitled to disbelieve Markle. It's called free speech, Duchess. Joining me is Brendan O'Neill, editor of the brilliant online magazine Spiked. Brendan, thanks for your time again. What does this judgment say about ITV?
It tells us that they are a bunch of cowards. It's really shocking how ITV behaved in relation to Piers Morgan. They were also going to regret it. He was the big draw for Good Morning Britain. He was the star of the show. Their ratings have not done very well since they essentially kicked him out. But I think what happened, as you say, ITV just caved to the woke mob. And there was a real atmosphere at that time that it was somehow unacceptable to criticise Meghan Markle, the patron saint of wokeness. Anyone who criticised her was accused of blasphemy, essentially. And ITV just went along with that and tried to make Piers Morgan apologise and then got rid of him when he didn't. It was a shameful episode. As you say, it was a sin against journalism, and it's shocking that the regulator, which is not really very liberal, has to remind ITV about the importance of freedom of speech.
Mate, our regulator here, if ever the Australian Press Council starts to defend free speech, you really know you've done a very, very, very bad thing. What does it say about Meghan Markle, this judgment? Because she did complain to ITV, according to Piers Morgan, wanting action against him, playing, you know, I'm a woman, I'm a mother, to another woman and mother. What does it say about her that she went to have him punished rather than answer the claims?
I think this is an example of woke tyranny. You know, it's really funny that Harry and Meghan criticised the monarchy for being old-fashioned and stuffy and authoritarian, but they behave far more like old-world monarchists than the Queen does. The Queen has put up with so much criticism over the past few decades, especially from the 1960s onwards, and then in the 1990s, following the death of Princess Diana, the Queen got a lot of flack. She took it on the chin. She wrote it out. She carried on her relationship with the British people. She is still a figure of enormous respect, but she didn't go to the press and try and shut them down. So for Meghan to behave like this, that's how the monarchy used to behave in the old days when it was a genuinely authoritarian outfit. So Harry and Meghan are more like that than the Queen and others who they criticise. It demonstrates just how allergic to freedom of speech and open criticism woke people like Meghan Markle are. They cannot tolerate any kind of dissent from their opinions or their lifestyles. There's an extraordinary arrogance to that. And I think it should make the British media want to call her out more, because figures of authority who try to censor the press deserve a lot of criticism.
You are so correct about this being, a throwback to the old days. Off with his head. He insulted the Queen. Off with his head. Brendan, the new race baiters seem to be running short of things to denounce as racist and oppressive. Dr. Linda Many Guns, in fact, Many Guns, is her name, 2 words, identifies as a Blackfoot woman of a Canadian tribe. It is an ominous-sounding job, Associate Vice President of Indigenisation and Decolonisation at Canada's Mount Royal University. Anyone with a job title like that, you know, is trouble. She pushes a kind of earth worship and animal democracy, despite her traditional hunter's name of Many Guns. Here she is.
Indigenous people believe that the Creator has placed on this earth all the animal, plants, and beings, and they all have rights, and to not recognize them as a violation of natural democracy.
All right, tell that to the buffalo. But Brendan, her latest crusade is to remove capital letters from everything except the word Indigenous. She says we resist acknowledging the power structures that oppress and join the movement that does not capitalise. First of all, Brendan, is the capital letter the sign of an oppressive power structure? And will removing capital letters catch on and make us all less racist?
You know, on one level, this is just hysterical. Another example of the woke insanity that is sweeping the world, sadly. But on another level, it's quite serious because one of the big targets of wokeness is language. Now, there aren't that many people at the moment calling for the scrapping of capital letters as if they were some kind of oppressive tool, but there are some voices like that. But if you look at the transgender movement, for example, that is constantly policing language and creating new speak and forcing us to use pronouns and words that are utterly alien to most people, like chest feeders or birthing parent and so on. And wokeness more broadly is constantly policing language, correcting language, telling us how to speak, and fundamentally how to think. So there is, even though this is an extreme case and miss many guns, I don't think that's going to catch on too quickly. But at the same time, there is a broader problem of the woke attempt to control language, which, as George Orwell said, is always a way of controlling thought. And we've got to look out for that.
I think it's just creating tripwires rather than that. And also, if you want something oppressive, what about the full stop? I'm going to put a full stop to here. I hope you feel oppressed there, Brendan O'Neill. Thanks for your time.